how does the Rodgers situation compare to Kyrie's?
It doesn't. They are drastically different.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers is exponentially worse. There was not only a lie, there was an intent to lie. And just a couple of things for you, Stephen A., because we obviously have this gripe. I have this gripe with you.
Because it's both of us.
Yeah, it's fine. I wrote down some things that you said here.
Sure.
So 3.5 weeks ago, you said it amounts to betrayal for Kyrie. You said, quote, flat out stupid as relates to what he's doing. Quote, bad teammate. Quote, selfish. October 16th on CNN. To the hell with you. You say all these things about Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie Irving was very upfront and honest about what his situation was. Mm-hmm. He wasn't jeopardizing anybody else. He didn't put anybody else on the Brooklyn Nets and their team at risk. When he was allowed to be around the team, he had his mask on. He abided by all the rules. But he was subject to mass criticism by you, animated criticism by you. Mm-hmm. And then I'm in a green room, and I watch you, and I see your points that you had against Aaron Rodgers, and I appreciate the stance by calling him a liar. I just didn't feel the same venom. I didn't feel the same energy that was associated with Kyrie Irving. And a part of me wonders, why? How come you don't hold Aaron Rodgers to the same, who lied on national, looked reporters in the eye and said, yeah, I'm immunized.
Okay.
Why not? I don't understand that.
I can answer it. You ready?
Yes.
Well, first of all,
I came here to hear your answer.
Okay, well, first of all, number one, I wasn't sitting across from you talking about Aaron Rodgers. I was sitting across from Bart Scott and Dan Orlovsky, who both agreed with me. You and I were arguing, so that might have had something to do with my intensity level to answer that question directly. That's number one. Number two, let's go down the list about what I'm saying, because, again, I've been on the record. Aaron Rodgers is a liar. Aaron Rodgers to be suspended. Period. I don't know how much stronger I could be than that.
Okay.
Now, that's number three.
I heard Bart say he should be suspended. I heard you tack on that. I didn't heard you lead.
All right.
No, I hear you, but listen to me.
Right.
When you set arguments now, when you feel passionately about something, you would say he should be suspended.
No. What I'm saying to you is that you and I were getting into an intense argument. Bart Scott, myself, and Dan Orlovsky were agreeing with one another. So what I'm saying is the level of intensity, which is what you brought up, since you were questioning my lack of intensity.
Yes.
I'm telling you why. Now I'm back with you again. Do I sound like I sound with Bart?
It sounds like you're passionate now, like you care.
Because I'm sitting across from you. So again, to make my point, I feel that way about Aaron Rodgers. But let me tell you what the difference is, because you and I, see, this is where everybody gets confused about. They act like we talking about the vaccine. No, we weren't talking about it. The argument was, and to some degree it has something to do with the vaccine, do I believe that Kyrie Irving owes Kevin Durant and James Harden them to be there? You damn right. That's where you and I disagree. Because Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden are in Brooklyn because of Kyrie Irving. You know this.
Mm-hmm.
You know this.
Go ahead.
Kevin Durant, they can lie all they want. They can say whatever they want to say. Kevin Durant and them boys led folks to believe they were going to the Knicks. They were going to the Garden. Kyrie Irving is the one that was like, oh, let's make our own legacy. Let's do this. Now, I understand it wasn't a pandemic at that particular moment in time. I understand that a pandemic changes the course of things. But what I'm also saying is there's a whole bunch of people that didn't want to take the vaccine for the Brooklyn Nets. There's a whole bunch of people that didn't want to subject themselves to that. But they said, yo, we came here trying to win a chip. This is what we're trying to do. So my position, not yours, my position is, since you're the one that got them there, you should be riding right there with them. That's my position.
Okay.
The other point that I'm making is this, and I stand by this. And there are a lot of people that have called and been in support of Kyrie Irving, and I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is not exponentially worse, because let me be clear, I agree with you with that. Okay. Aaron Rodgers is worse because he lied and Kyrie was honest.
Yes.
He lied and Kyrie was honest.
Yes.
And Kyrie was honest. But that's not my point. My point is, this is the first discussion I'm having about comparing the two. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers is not worse than Kyrie, but what I am saying about Kyrie also is that last several years, this brother want to show up to work when he want to show up to work. There's always an excuse. There's always an excuse not to show up to work. I believe, Jay, let me put this, Jay.
Don't go there. Don't do this.
This is how I feel. You said it. This is how I feel. I believe if it wasn't the vaccine, it'd be something else that got Kyrie Irving missing games.
It's fine. You're allowed to believe that.
That's what I believe. I got evidence, though. And you do, too. Yes, you do.
Of past behavior?
Yes. Yes.
Was Kyrie Irving available last year in the playoffs before he got hurt?
In the playoffs, I'm not talking playoffs. He was available in the playoffs. He was available in the playoffs, yes. He was available in the playoffs.
Okay.
He wants to come to work when he wants to come to work. You were at Brooklyn last night, right?
I was
at Brooklyn. I was at the game last night, too, right? Yeah. How we feel about that crowd? Don't you feel like it's dead up in there compared to the Garden?
Definitely
Don't
different.
you feel it's definitely different? You know what? Let me tell you, Kyrie can change that because he's a showstopper. He's box office.
Okay.
But you know what? How many games that brother's missed?
Come back for me for a
Thank
second
you.
because I don't want to go off
ahead.
on a tangent on the subject.
I was just answering your question about the intensity. All right.
Devontae Adams,
What about him?
you don't think he's relying upon Aaron Rodgers to do the right thing? The same accountability that you have Kyrie to Kevin Durant and James Harden?
Aaron
Aaron
Rodgers
Jones,
not-
wait, let me finish. Aaron Jones, you don't think he wants to win a
That's
Super
not
Bowl?
a discussion because I agree with you.
Okay.
I said Aaron Rodgers is a liar. He should be suspended. He's lying.
Wait, in
I said that.
Aaron Rodgers' defense, we, the media, did not know, but his teammates did know.
Yeah, I understand
Yeah,
that.
I just want to make sure. So they knew that.
I don't even know if they
Devontae
knew.
Adams and Aaron Jones.
Okay, I don't even know if they
people
knew.
knew that he was unvaccinated. Within the organization, yes, they knew.
See,
Okay.
this
I
is...
didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
that's fine. Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying
Okay.
that.
Well, you want to go? Or you want
No,
me
go
to
ahead, go ahead.
Dan, you want to jump in here?
I'm sorry, I didn't know Dan was there. My fault, Dan. I'm so
You're good,
locked in
Jay.
here.
You're good, Jay. I think that the word Jay used, accountability, does matter here. Jay, are you more upset that he didn't get the vaccine, or are you more upset that he said he's immunized?
No, the vaccination aspect of this, that's not a problem with me at all. Like,
So
that's
what
his
you're
choice.
saying since he said I'm immunized, that's your
Yes.
issue?
Yes,
Yeah.
because immunized would imply that you are vaccinated when that is
Yeah.
not the case.
Yeah, so I said this in the first hour, Jay. I need to hear from Aaron. Like, I need to hear why he used that phrasing in that moment, because if his teammates knew that he was not vaccinated and the NFL knew that he was not vaccinated and the organization did, then why did he use that phrasing? I need to hear that. I'll be honest with you guys, I don't know exactly what NFL players can and cannot do when it comes to vaccine and not vaccinated status, because it's not my responsibility to know right now. I'm not an NFL player. I don't know if protocol was broken. I'm being dead honest with you. I don't know if Aaron broke protocol or not when as an unvaccinated player. If he did, yes, then there needs to be penalties. Absolutely.